Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the Be Lucky Racing channel with me, Daryl Carter. If you are interested in joining our Patreon service, do come and have a look. It's www.patreon.com/Daryl Carter Racing. Not only do you get all of my selections, all of my anti-post work, every single piece of work that I do directly for Patreon members, you also get full access to the DC Network, the home of Market Form. Yes, a brand new initiative that I've come up with, which is called Market Form. Look back at every single horse's run, how they performed in the market. We can slice that into 8 pressure points throughout the day, and we give you the complete package. It's something to use alongside the form book. It is Market Form, so do come and have a look. But today, we're going to be talking about the Gold Cup. The Cheltenham Gold Cup. This video is just for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I just want to talk about it, really. I just want to talk about it with you guys and get some thoughts and feelings off my chest. Now, obviously, there will be no bets given on this channel. Those are for members, and I have to be very clear about this. Members get first priority of anything when it comes to Cheltenham Festival, when it comes to any tips. But I do want to talk to you about the Gold Cup. We have some interesting entries for the Gold Cup this year. None more so than the big question, will Factor File be supplemented? So let's start with that. Will Factor File, on the back of his Irish Gold Cup win, be supplemented for the Cheltenham Gold Cup? Now, all I keep hearing is people saying, oh, they supplemented, I know the way you're thinking last year, blah, 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 blah. Well, listen. I know the way you're thinking didn't have any entries at Cheltenham last year. He was going to the Grand National, and they put him in the Gold Cup picture and supplemented him. The difference with Factor File, the big difference is that he already has a Ryanair entry. So that's the big difference. So if you are taking a price on Factor File, make sure it's non-run and no bet. That is the first crucial piece of information. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this race without Factor File in it for the moment, okay? Because as we stand, he's currently not in the race at all. Jango Baie is actually your favourite for the Gold Cup. I find it very strange to Nicky Henderson's record with sort of 3 milers over the years has not been a terrific one. And I think a lot of people are taking the fact that he was running on at the finish at Kempton as a sure sign that he is a guaranteed stayer over 3 mile 2 furlongs in the Gold Cup. Now, that was a pretty steadily run affair, that Kempton King George, and they quickened up on the final circuit. I don't think it really showed stamina to best effect that day. I think Gaelic Warrior had the ground slightly too quick for him. Paul Townend dropped his whip in the closing stages. Yes, Jango Baie ran on strongly at the finish. The Jukebox Man is a horse that had the run of the race, I felt. Banbridge has already proven he doesn't stay a Gold Cup trip, and he was a nose second. I just feel like maybe we're getting a little bit overexcited about the result of that King George. The top 2, Jango Baie and the Jukebox Man, ahead in the betting of the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And I will tell you this is an entirely different test to the King George. The betting makes the same mistake every single year. Sharp track round Kempton doesn't always relate to an undulating, stiff finishing track like Cheltenham. Now, the issue I've got with the Jukebox Man, I think he's a brilliant horse. I really, really like him. I just feel he'd be better suited to a Ryanair. I cannot get out of my head when he was in the Albert Bartlett and he was finishing very tired coming up the hill when he was picked up by Stella Story that day. And for me, it's concerning that these two are the top of the market. I must be in this. I think they're great horses. They've got their chances, particularly the Jukebox Man. But I just not guarantee. I'm not convinced stamina is there for either of the two. Now, I could be entirely wrong. Gaelic Warrior, on the other hand, I thought ran a cracker in the Irish Gold Cup. I thought he travelled supremely well, far too well, to be honest. Was a little bit lit up in Patrick Mullins' hands. I'm not a massive fan of Patrick in the saddle. I don't think he can keep hold of horses. I know everyone says he's a strong jockey, but I just don't believe it myself personally from what I've seen with the likes of Anzadam the other week and here with Gaelic Warrior. And for me, I just felt Gaelic Warrior really outperformed himself at a venue he has proven not really to like that much. Now, Factor File did beat him back in the day when they ran over an intermediate trip before Gaelic Warrior came here to Cheltenham and won. 5 lengths between them. I think that can be reversed by Gaelic Warrior should Factor File run in here. But if Factor File doesn't run in here, I cannot believe that Gaelic Warrior is not favourite for the Gold Cup. I think that's quite astounding, really. He's a lovely horse, and he won't mind what the ground does. You know, if the ground comes up on the day and it's a soft ground Gold Cup, all of a sudden you're going to start having all these question marks about certain horses. He's not going to be one of those. Therefore, I'm trying to predict whether or not he'll be pushed to the top of the betting market. And I think that will be the case on the day. Let's say Factor File is not here. I think Gaelic Warrior will go off favourite for the Gold Cup should he run. Obviously, he could run in the Ryanair as well, which would be very disappointing, considering how far ahead he finished of Gallop and the Shomps, who I think is a horse that has been to the Welsh so many times now and is now a 10-year-old. And I don't think he's got a chance in hell of winning a Gold Cup here. I think if Paul Townend was going to have to choose one to ride, he would have to surely choose Gaelic Warrior. Gallop in the Shomps, it was all about him the last day looking for a 4th win in that Irish Gold Cup, and he did not deliver, beating 13 lengths in the end. And to be honest, I felt he has dictated a lot of races from the front in Ireland in the past, but I do think that his latest run has now suggested that he is a horse that is not at the peak of his powers, and therefore surely Paul Townend, if you're looking for the ride that Paul Townend's going to pick in the Gold Cup, it must be Gaelic Warrior. It must be. Of the rest of the horses in behind that little batch at the top of the market, Haiti Couleurs won well at the weekend, but I thought Long Press was given such a shite ride. I honestly do not like Charlie Deutsch in the saddle. I don't think he gets into any sort of rhythm with a horse. He's scared to throw a horse at a fence. Look, Le Hombres wasn't good enough at the weekend in the Denman Chase to beat Haiti Couleurs, but Haiti Couleurs had the race to himself. Sean Bowen was given so much rope, plenty of time to do what he likes. And for me, I'm not sure he's going to be able to have that sort of luxury on the front end, that comfort where he sits there and just plods away. When push comes to shove and they've really got a quicken, I just cannot really see him doing it. The handicapper as well, considering he's won a Welsh national and he's still only rated 159. Now he's got to go up for his run at Newbury at the weekend. But again, he's a 9-year-old. I just cannot see it for the life of me that Haiti Couleurs wins a Gold Cup. Maybe I'm entirely wrong. And maybe he's the type of horse that does have that sort of outside squeak away from those big names. He's one of those horses. I really do think that the more you sat here and the more you looked at the Gold Cup, you could genuinely convince yourself that Haiti Couleurs has got a massive chance in the Gold Cup. He's just a 9-year-old, like he's a Welsh national horse. It just doesn't tend to work. You're usually looking for those 7 and 8-year-olds that are going to go and do the business in here. And for me, I think he's just too old. I think he'll be vulnerable to younger legs in a classier race. Now, let's be honest, Le Hombres is an 11-year-old. I thought he was a good thing at the weekend, but he is an 11-year-old. The time before, he was carrying big weights to win the Welsh National. And for me, Haiti Couleurs just hasn't really proven it at the top level. Coming in here to win a Gold Cup without winning a Grade 1 is, I think it tells you all you need to know. Spillane's Tower is very interesting. This could be the horse, the reason that JP doesn't supplement Factor File, because Spillane's Tower did bounce back to form, beating Le Hombres, albeit we've just discussed he's an 11-year-old Le Hombres at Cheltenham last time. But it was a step back in the right direction for Spillane's Tower. He hadn't really been the same since he came over for that King George in 2024. Apparently he lost a lot of condition on the travel over and they could never get him right after that. Well, this is the first time that he's bounced back and he proved he could travel over, which is something he hadn't done before. So he has to be a big player and a big interest for punters. Now, you would like to see him take a big step forward from that Grade 2 win over Le Hombres last time, because obviously the form wasn't done too much good by finishing well beaten by Haiti Couleurs next time. But Spillane's Tower could be one taking another step in the correct direction. Grey Dawning in here at 16s as well, another 9-year-old. I just cannot see how he's going to be winning the Gold Cup. I thought last year might have been his opportunity to win a Gold Cup, but they left their race at Haydock at the very start of the season. He was comfortably well held by Gaelic Warrior, despite being the fresher horse at Aintree at the back end of last season. And for me, I thought that I just don't think he's a very good horse. I don't think he's a Gold Cup winner personally. Now, let's talk about it. One of my favourite horses in training. I know the way you're thinking. What has happened here? Now, this horse is now 20-1 for the Gold Cup, best price with Betfair. The problem is that this horse has been held, despite his run in when he was beaten 53 lengths by Gaelic Warrior at Punchdown, the John Durkin. He remained 7-2, 6-1 at the top of the between 7-2 and 6-1 at the top of the Gold Cup market. He then goes to the Savills Chase at Christmas. He's beaten 41 lengths by Affordale Fury. And he remains sort of eight. They're not quick to push him out, are they? And it's only off the back of his latest run where he fell at the last that they've decided to push him out to a double-figure price. Like I say, 20s is the best price you can get about I Know the Way You're Thinking. I'll be honest with you. I did predict that something like this would happen with I Know the Way You're Thinking. I wrote in the Cheltenham Festival Focus column, which you can get on patreon.com/Daryl Carter Racing exclusively. I did write that I Know the Way You're Thinking is going to be a horse you want to back on the day because I thought they were going to mess about with him all season. Like I know he's been handicapping the last few years before that, but I still felt that they would use that as an MO for this season regardless. So I do think that they have been... A report suggested that at Leopardstown and the Savills, he was bigger than he was in the John Durkin. So, I do think they've been leaving a lot on him to work on. I think they've been allowing other horses to go to the well and battle each other out for him to come as a fresh horse to Cheltenham. The issue you've got, though, is that fall now at the final fence. It was a tired jump. And he fell. We're going to have to hear and see what the vibes are like about I Know the Way You're Thinking because there's no doubt in my mind he is far better than what he's shown in his 3 runs this year. And that Gold Cup victory was no fluke. I am not having it. I have figures for him going back some time, particularly to Aintree when he won the Manifesto, which suggests this is a proper horse. So we'll see how he recovers 39 days between that fall and the Gold Cup. It has been done before. Can they do it again? I'm not sure. I Am Maximus is a horse that seems so in and out. It's very hard to trust him these days, but he's a talented horse in his days. Nick Rocket is a very interesting runner here. If he runs in this, he could have a big shout. He was obviously the Grand National winner in April. We haven't seen him since, but he did win very, very well indeed that day. We're looking down now the field, down at the outsiders, and Firefox is a horse that's going to run in here. He was seen running on at the finish behind Factifile, beating 14 lengths. Now, big ask for him to come to Cheltenham and put up a Gold Cup winning performance, considering he was beaten in the novice handicap last year. But it's interesting that he's got that sort of unexposed avenue up to 3 miles. Looking through the rest, Impere Pass looks a huge price should he run in here, but I've got a funny feeling they're not going to come here. Stellar Story, is he interesting? You could probably make a case that he went round the inside of the track in the Savills and he was on the worst of the ground, perhaps. Now, he was due to run in the Irish Gold Cup with fitted cheek pieces on for the first time, but they pulled him out. Of the rest, at bigger prices, I think it's really hard to get super excited by any. I believe there is a horse in here who could massively outrun his odds. The slight concern is that I've seen that he's got an entry on Friday at Kelso. Now, it may be a good prep there for him, but he's 150-1, and that is Town. Now, obviously, he was beaten, wasn't he, by Imperial Saint at Haydock in the Peter Marsh, but I thought he was given a terrible ride that day. Again, though, another 9-year-old we're looking at. Like, this has not been the way to go in Gold Cups, picking out 9-year-olds. It just hasn't worked. He's definitely a talented horse. If there's going to be some sort of weird upset, then maybe a 9-year-old will pick this up, and maybe something like 150-1 shot Town should be of interest. But you'd be so disappointed if the likes of Town could get the better of Gaelic Warrior, wouldn't you? Gaelic Warrior seems to go very, very well indeed at Cheltenham, and I think he is the class act. I think this whole Gaelic Warrior sort of story, you remember when he was beaten in the Boodles, and I can guarantee you there's a lot of you that backed him that day. He was hammered in the market and beaten. God, that day, I remember someone went to me, I've never backed that horse again. And look at him now. And I do feel like there is some sort of story here. some sort of overall story that will link Gaelic Warrior's entire career together by winning a Gold Cup in the end. But could you imagine? But it's a cracking race, guys. It's a cracking race, and we've got a lot to look forward to. All the water is basically passed under the bridge now, and I'm really looking forward to Cheltenham. The preview is coming up very soon, the 20th of February at Fratton Park. Tickets are available. Go to my Twitter at DarylCarter7 if you want to grab your tickets for that. £7.50. All proceeds go to the Injured Jockey Fund, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. But come on, Cheltenham, it's coming, baby. Be lucky. Until next time.